Hi, good afternoon. Hi, I can see just sort of waiting while people log on. Hey, I can see you're there, Marissa. Just want to make sure my setup is good. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's a beautiful day here. I'm over at my studio on Albert Street. The sun is shining. It's nice and cozy, good lighting here. As hey, I see you there, Kristen. As we go through my art demo. So I'm gonna begin. I guess I do want to begin. I just want to start off with if you are new to this or if you haven't been here before, I'm with Studio Central. And Studio Central is a not-for-profit registered charity, an urban art center on 444 Kennedy Street in Winnipeg, Manitoba. A big focus of our organization is to use art as a form of mental health recovery and for people to use art as a way to find a different part of who they are and to be able to use art to work through issues that you may have, they may have in their life. We all use, as artists, we use art as a form of therapy, so a form of mental wellness. Myself, I am an artist, and I find art is such a grounding thing to do, to be creative, to sit down at a canvas and to play with images, play with color. There's something very relaxing about it. Okay, let's make sure my setup is good. So today, my art demo, I think I put it in the title, it's actually going to be abstracting your surroundings. So I just want to talk a little bit about that, the idea of what abstract is before I kind of get into it. Abstract, I find as an artist, I really enjoy things that aren't realistic, and abstract is such a beautiful form of that expression and something that I find can be really accessible for a lot of people. Abstracting something is looking at something from your perspective, being very subjective about it, and then reinterpreting what you're seeing onto your canvas. That's a form of abstract. So that's what we're going to be playing with today, that idea. And when I say abstracting your surroundings, it's simply looking ahead from where you're sitting, looking ahead and finding a point of reference in that direct view, and then translating that onto your paper, art paper, canvas, whatever you may be using, whether you're painting, whether you're drawing, whether you're sculpting. These are all different mediums that you can use to abstract what's right in front of you. I find as an artist that creativity sometimes doesn't happen. You know, you sit down, you're like, I'm going to paint, I'm going to draw, I'm going to sew, I'm going to sculpt, and you sit down and you just sort of stare blank. Nothing comes. Like there's no sense of that well of inspiration that comes out. That is such a beautiful thing to feel. And I find when I'm sort of in that place, that funk, which happens a lot, like creativity just isn't just like overflowing well. You sometimes have to do things like this type of exercise that we're doing today to fill that well back up, you know. So if you're struggling with the sense of what to do, what to draw, what to paint, I find if I sit down and I simply abstract my surroundings, painting, drawing something within my direct line of sight, that can really trigger something in a good way. Triggers can be good, depending on how that happens. So that's sort of like that's the rundown. That's my rambling for what I'm going to be doing today. So I guess I'll kind of get into it, and I'll show you some of the things I'm going to be using. Number one, have a beverage. I highly recommend it. Take a sip and keep it close. Today we're going to be doing abstracting your surroundings in watercolor. I will say that I actually thought I was going to be doing it in acrylics, and so I had my whole setup for acrylics. So I had when I work with acrylics, I tape everything to my board, and I can sit, as you can see, at my easel, so it's like in an upright position. But it's watercolor when I actually reviewed the bulletin, which is great. So I want to stick with that, and so I'm going to be doing this in watercolor. And I thought I'm going to keep my watercolor paper taped in an upright position. Since I'm working in an abstract format, they're really, those little glitches, those little things, they really aren't going to affect this picture. So I think keeping my watercolor upright, I think, is potentially going to play in my favor. I guess we'll see. The thing with watercolor, it's water-based. So when you sometimes put the brush onto the watercolor paper, it will run. So what might happen is I might get some dripping down on my canvas or on the watercolor paper, and that's okay, because as I said, we're abstracting our surroundings, and I think that might sort of create a really cool element to the picture that we're doing today. See, Megan's on. Hey, how's it going? Let's see. So I guess to begin, we have my watercolor paper. If you're not familiar with watercolor, this is massive, but this is a good brand, Canson, 140 pound weight of paper. It's good for absorbing watercolor and not soaking through. I have a palette that I'm going to use for mixing my colors. This is just an old sort of wacky palette that I've been using for a long time, as you can tell, but the colors, this is totally dry. I'm going to be able to work over top of these colors with the colors that we're working with today. We have a couple of things of water. This is just for mixing and for rinsing off your brush. Brushes. I have a variety of different sizes. We have a fan brush, this brush, this one, I don't know the technical name, so so little square tips, okay? So we're gonna do this, and then pencil, which is right here. I can see, hey Cassandra, glad to see everyone's tuning in. I am going to use a ruler and a pencil to kind of sketch out the idea of what I'm checking out. So that's the first step. So we have our canvas paper, we have the brushes and the water set up, and now to elaborate with the idea of abstracting your surroundings, I'll talk to this briefly. Last year I did a series of paintings that were all about abstracting my surroundings. So I just sort of took what you'll see is sort of just a very minimal version of what I'm seeing in front of me. There's just going to be some lines. I'm not going for detail. I'm trying to get the basic lines of what's in front of me, and to sort of break down that realism, our reality, to create something different and abstract on the canvas. But I did a series of paintings based around this last year, and I was successful with them, and they looked very nice. And I did a series like a close-up of a desk. I did in very sort of color blocky type of way, which we'll be playing with today. So just so you know, we're not going for a realistic picture. We're going for an abstract version of the reality that we're looking at right now. So right now, I'll show you briefly. We'll just turn this camera so you can see what I'm looking at. Side note, I'm so determined to not let my phone drop because it's dropped every single art demo. So I'm being very careful. So this is my view. So you can see, I'll do this. You can see it's the window. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm just gonna get some basic shapes. I'm gonna get the basic shape of this window. I'm gonna get that line across there, I think. I might add in this light here, and then I think I may potentially cut my picture off here at this line, going up and down like that. And then the focus of the painting will be this area here. So so you can kind of see what I'm working with. That's what I'm seeing. These are my surroundings, and now I want to reinterpret this onto my watercolor paper. So I'm just gonna carefully turn you back. Yeah, thank you. Megan just said, abstract gets the mind going. It really does. Again, like whether it's planned out or whether you're just using this as a kind of exercise, working with abstract really helps to get those gears, those creative gears going. So you saw a bit of my view. So now I'm just going to work on here. I'm going to use a ruler just to get some harder edges and to sketch that. So you just kind of look at what's right in front of you. And again, the idea is we're just getting the basic shapes. We're not going for anything that's realistic. We just want to get the basic shape and outline. So we have a bit of a window view, so it's going to be maybe a bit more geometric, which I like. I don't like geometry, but I do like shapes. Like math, geometry, no. But shapes, yes. Okay. Okay, so we got that. So actually in my view too, there's a chair. I'm gonna add that chair into that view. So again, you just want to be rough with your sketch. You're not going for any sort of realism. With this, I want to just get the outline and the shapes, which will all get filled in with color. Okay. And like this. This chair is looking pretty cool, the way it's popping in. So basically, once I get the shapes that I'm looking at, the idea, the outline, I'm going to, we'll fill in the shapes with the color. So bear with me while I create this. So there's the leg. And then this kind of pops up like that. And you want to keep it, I think for today, like I'm just going to keep it as simple as possible. Again, you don't want to go for, as you progress, if you keep doing this type of exercise, this sort of form of art, you can get way more detailed, way more complicated with the shapes that you're seeing. But I like to keep it a little bit simple so it's not, so it's easier. See a line here, across. Okay, so I think I'm going to start playing with this color-wise. So I'm just going to take the phone off and show you what my point of reference is. So you can see here I'm actually playing with this window idea here, and then I decided to use the chair as one of my references. Okay, so last week I did an art demo on still life, so this is almost like sort of expanding on the idea of what still life can be. And here it's a little harder to see. Oops. But you can see I have, that's the chair there, and then that's the window. So all we're going to be doing, we're going to be painting within these borders that I've created with that pencil. So my paint's only going to go in here, and then around here. And maybe I'll throw some stuff into the window to represent that light. So you can already see that it's really such... it's nice because the idea of this is very accessible. We all can see what's right in front of us, and it's minimal production. You know, you're not organizing and strategizing. It's just simply sitting down and it's right there. So colors. I wanted to do something a little bit more earthy today. So I've got this sap green, and we've got a color I really have been using and falling in love with is burnt umber. I love saying it and I love how it looks. So, and then we have a little primary yellow, and another really beautiful color that translates well, hopefully, is cream. Cream kind of has that sort of natural, like fibery kind of look to it sometimes. So we'll see if that will work on here. So I'm going to grab, I've got this brush here. This is like a smaller brush, but I'm going to use this smaller brush to paint the outline of the window. And from my point of view, I think it's got that creamy kind of vibe. So we're going to use the cream color to fill in the space. So you just want to put a little dollop of that paint on your palette. And not too much, because watercolor does go a long way. Okay, I'm going to bring this around here so you can see. So you can see, still works on top of that color to reuse a palette. So I'm all about that. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay. So then for this, whatever shape that you happen to be working with, you just want to pull that color down and in the border. Again, I'm working with watercolor, and I just want to reiterate, you normally use watercolor, like I normally use watercolor on a flat surface, because if you're upright like you are today, if you use too much water, you're going to get the paint is going to start to drip down the paper. But because of my little accidental setup today, I'm going to stick with this, and I'm going to see if I can potentially get maybe a cool effect from that. So, and that's all part of that whole idea of abstract art, just kind of going with the flow, you know? Yeah, this cream looks really nice. It's got a good consistency. I hope everyone's been doing well. I hope everyone has been enjoying this nice weather. Hi, it's been wild, these like warm days. To go from like I don't know. I feel like it was just snowing 2 days ago or something to like just this gorgeous weather. It's nice. But I know that all of us are, it's a different situation. It's a different time now. Social distancing, it's easy to feel isolated. And if I'm ever feeling isolated, it's nice. I can use art. It's great to watch art. It's great to do art. And it's a really a good way to beat those blues that happen sometime, right? Okay. So I'm bringing this color all the way around. Again, just following the border of the window pane. And however you want to put that brush on your paper too, like don't worry about a specific style of brush stroke in terms of this. Like you are just doing you and you're just putting paint on your canvas. But just stay within the borders. Kristen, burnt umber is the most satisfying word combo. I'm just reading the comments. Yes, it is. Burnt umber. So I haven't been I'm not using too much water with this, so I'm actually able to control what's going on right now with the color. So I'm not getting dripping because I'm kind of going heavy on the paint and less on diluting it with water. So that's a way, if you are working with watercolors in an upright position, then that's a way to sort of combat that. Okay, pulling this color down. It's nice, and I am diluting it a bit, so I'm trying to pull it down a bit. I have a little bit of water build up here. It might drip, but if I just pull it like this, I think I'm narrowly escaping that. Okay, good. I'm not sure if you saw some of the art demos from before, but Holly did an art demo. I'm just realizing, how as you're doing something, how things click in your head, but the way I'm putting the color onto this is reflective of a previous art demo we did like a while ago, like a month and a half ago. And it's sort of, she did a self-portrait, a blind self-portrait, and then you kind of do it blindly. And then when you're done, you look at it and then you just fill in all the different spaces of this sort of, funky looking self-portrait with different colors. And it's really fun. So a bit more structured, but the same idea. So we're gonna use different colors to fill in these different shapes. Okay. So we basically have the color around here. Just going to put a little bit more down here. And then fill in the space here. Okay. So now that I'm done this border of the window pane, I'm gonna move down. I think I'm gonna paint this chair element here to add. So I think for the chair aspect, I'm gonna use the I'm going to use burnt umber. I'm going to use burnt umber here. And then I think after when I'm done this, because I like the idea of, you want to let each sort of section dry. So you sort of paint this and like give it a moment. So you move on to a different shape. I'm going to do burnt umber here. And then the top half of the window pane, I'm going to do burnt umber as well. So let's start with the top part of the chair, and then we'll move to that second shape. So you just take your paint, put it onto your palettes. And I think because we're working the same hues, the same tones, I'm going to actually use the same brush that I used with that cream. So I've just rinsed it off, and now it's good to go. And I can use that for the burnt umber. So that's another great example where another good example of where you don't need a million brushes to work on a piece. You know, if you've just got one brush and you've got some water to rinse it, then you're good to go. Unless you're working on like a, 70 by 80 canvas, then the small brush might not be awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this burnt umber and fill in this shape. And yeah, it's got a nice kind of vibe. I like the idea of when I work with watercolor, like I find acrylic you can get like a really beautiful opaqueness to the painting you're working on, but I find there's such a delicate, almost like a wispiness, like the color feels like a memory on your canvas, and it just has such a nice feel to it. Not to get too cerebral or whatever about the colors. Okay. So this is looking really good, and burnt umber, the burnt umber delivered again. Love the color. I think brown it's kind of touch and go, depending on what you're working on. I think, maybe brown doesn't get as much, love, but I think that brown is a really good color, so. Okay, so I finished this shape here. You can kind of see it coming together. You can see the border. Now I'm gonna move with this burnt umber. I'm gonna fill in this top part of this window pane. Where you do the same thing. Yeah, totally. Okay, so this cream color has had time to dry. So now we're just gonna bump this burnt umber up into here. And again, don't worry about it being perfect, just it's the beauty of painting in abstract that mistakes more often, mistakes can be your friend. And I kind of said this like not too long ago, but like going with the flow, and I think that's I don't want to oversimplify the process, but sometimes just going with the flow, can really work. Because sometimes we put too many expectations on ourselves. Like you kind of sit down in front of the canvas and you can get frustrated with yourself because you're not producing exactly what you want to produce. But I think there is an art and a beauty to letting go and to letting that sort of creative process just go through you. So this is a bit of a bigger space. So low key, I wish I had used a bigger brush, but I am okay with that, so. So I'm just gonna do some nice strokes here to find that outline. I'm gonna bring this down. And fill that in. Beautiful. So again, the one thing I was kind of concerned about was using watercolor in an upright fashion, having it drip down, and like 100% not an issue. So, and I'm kind of using a lot of water for this top window pane, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to try to go a little bit heavier with the color to fill this up here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I definitely like the sort of texture and the look that you can get with this burnt umber. It's really nice. Ooh, sort of dabbing my brush right now, I'm getting almost like a sort of a sponged effect with the color. So again, if you're working with the color in your paintbrush, feel free to like play around with it, like dab at it, or even like sometimes you can like take paint and like flick it at your canvas. But today, no flicking. Okay, so we've got this color filled in here. So now you can see, it's funny, I feel like I'm looking at the camera because I want to make sure I'm looking at you, but then I'm also sort of referencing what I'm doing. So it's my line of sight's like here, but then it's here. So it's just interesting, this whole process. Okay, so yeah, that color's filled, that color's filled. Let's move back down to the chair, and I'm actually going to use a yellow. I want to put a nice hard pop of color, because right now we've got a very neutral palette. I want to use a bright pop of color to sort of counterbalance that, that neutralness. And for that, I think back to basics, primary yellow. This is primary colors. Sometimes I think are underrated, you know, but they're good. You can mix with them, get nice, bright, vibrant colors. So for this, I'm actually going to use a bit of a bigger brush because I'm going to fill in this part here, and I'm also going to put yellow in this bigger area here. So we're going to have the cream, burnt umber, and then a nice pop of yellow and a bit of yellow here. So I'm hoping that that works. So let's start down here. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, can you see that color? Yeah, kind of. Okay. Wow, this is really nice. Cool. Right on. It's a little harder to stay within the lines right now with this big brush, but that's okay. I'm gonna go start painting this bigger area with the yellow, and when I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna go over this again with a second coat of yellow because I want the yellow to really pop. So as we're painting this, some things that, little tips that can help you with watercolor. You'll notice that it is taped because it's upright, but even if it's down, if you're laying flat, it's good to tape your watercolor paper down because watercolor paper tends to bend and fold in a bit because the moisture creates that effect. So tape can keep your paper in one spot, which is nice. Ooh, yeah, look at that. Nice. Okay. So I'm really liking how this yellow is looking. Nice and vibrant. And this yellow is really representative of that sunshine coming into my studio right now. This studio, I'm actually on the 4th floor of 75 Albert Street, so I'm right in the heart of the Exchange, and I got these beautiful west-facing windows, so in the afternoon I get a lot of gorgeous sunlight, which is nice. But I love being in the Exchange, and I love being here painting with you. So this, I got this first coat of the yellow down, so I'm going to go back down to this. I'm going to put more yellow to create more of a pop, to make it more vibrant. So watercolor thankfully dries very quickly, so I can come back to this and just a really easy, simple second coat, just to give that nice pop. So now you can really see it popping off the canvas. Yeah, right on. Cool. So this top part's already mostly dried, so I'm going to put more yellow on it. Okay, here we go. Look at that. Yeah, yellow's such a nice color. There's like certain colors I work with a lot, like blue. I work with so much blue. I love blue. You know, there's just something aesthetically really appealing about blue. And sometimes I shy away from, you know, working with these types of colors. And just lately, I've been using, like as I said, a lot of the browns and the burnt umbers with these natural sort of colors, and I like the effect. It's very cool. So again, the goal is not to be perfect. We are abstracting reality. We're abstracting what's right in front of me. So the thing, there is another small shape here. So I think I'm gonna use green, and normally, Normally I use a lot of phthalo green, however you pronounce it. But I'm gonna switch it up, and we're gonna put a pop of Viridian hue. It's kind of like got an emerald kind of vibe. So I'm hoping that there's just gonna be like the littlest pop of that emerald green right here. I think that will translate well, but we'll see. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Ooh, it's not even open. Fresh. I haven't even opened it yet. Ooh. Okay, let's put just a little. You don't need. This is very small, so I just need the tiniest dollop. And because it's smaller, I'm going to use a really tiny brush. So I've got this little tiny angled brush, which is going to help get this smaller, because it's a very small space. You'll see what I mean. I feel like I'm not describing this accurately or well enough. So here we go. Okay. Oh, I like it. And again, I think it's really, I always like want to keep reiterating this, but you know, I came to this canvas today with no expectations. You know, I have an idea, a sense of what I think I want to do, and I'm sort of like letting things happen. Like I wasn't sure if this green's gonna look good, and I'm kind of putting it on the canvas right now, and it looks good. So, okay, but I need more. This is also a very opaque. So getting some good coverage with this green. Gonna add a bit more green here. And then, because we use such a small pop of green, I have these legs of the chair here, and I think I'm going to add, I think I'll add green to both the legs. We'll see what happens, okay? Hey, how's it going? I believe Chloe's here, so hey Chloe. And again, for this, I'm using a smaller brush because this is a bit more of a tighter space, a bit of a tighter shape. And again, just trying to stay within those boundaries. This is like a metaphorical lesson on boundaries. Boundaries are good. And when people have boundaries, you have to respect them. Okay, I'm gonna fill in this this green here. Sorry, that was very random. Okay, so we're kind of coming up here. So this is like, honestly, like I'm being a little bit sloppy right now because this brush is not agreeing with me, but that's okay. Because oh yeah, cool. So I'm just going to sort of straighten out these edges to make them a little bit smoother. And okay. So now I think what I want to do is I want to take just a little bit of this brown, and I'm going to bring it down here. I just want to bring this. I have no sort of boundaries set up here. No lines have been drawn, but I think I'm just going to bring the brown and work it in under here and sort of pull it down and maybe give it like a bit of a fading quality. So you'll see what I mean. A little bit of brown, and just going to pull this down. And I'm just going to pull this brown all the way around the bottom of the picture. Trying to think of how far I should take this. That. So I think with this window pane, you're it's kind of sort of fun on the canvas because you're creating a frame within a frame. So I just want to use this brown to sort of complete that idea down here. Just going to pull that across. Okay, right on. So I'm just going to sort of try to smooth out this bottom area. I'm just going to do some bigger brush strokes here just to sort of blend that color a bit. Just going to bring this down. I think I'm just going to sort of put some strokes here to make the bottom a little bit rougher. I think that's... I'm going to bring this brown up to sort of create a bit of an outline. And again, you're just, as you're working on this, you just want to like go with the flow. So I'm just sort of creating these lines. I hadn't planned on this, but I think this is a good, this is sort of giving a nice frame within the frame. Okay, so I feel in terms of what I've been talking about and what I've been trying to do, I feel like I've come to a very nice ending with this picture. So I'm going to take the phone off here. I'm going to show you sort of what I was looking at and then show you the end result. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the comments. Cassandra was just saying that sometimes you, if it doesn't go as you plan, you end up ripping up your art. And you know what? I've been there. I get that, and it's hard because we all do. We create expectations. So today I'll show you this was my expectation. So you can kind of see the chair in the window there. It's actually much bigger. So it's not even like, as we pull back, and what I ended up with is that same vibe. So you can see that's my chair, that's the window. I have that pop of green, and that's that abstract vibe of what you see right there, okay? So yeah, so I think that that's a good sort of way to end on is talking about the idea of the expectations that we put on ourselves as an artist and how stressful it can be to be creative. And if we are feeling low, if we sort of go down, that creativity, that well of creativity can really run dry really fast. And the moment you start to put stuff on the canvas, it can look like garbage, or you feel like it looks like garbage, and you think it looks like garbage, and it's easy to really get down on yourself. So this is a kind of an exercise that I think can help reignite that creativity. This isn't a perfect picture. This is an abstract representation of what I'm seeing. But even this, like, this is like good in the sense of I finished this and I have this piece. But if I'm being, you can get critical. For me, I wish I actually hadn't painted these legs the green. I'm just thinking that right now as I'm looking at the picture. So it's easy to sort of pick apart the work that you've created. So I hope that we can create, be creative, use different creative exercises like this to bring yourself back to your canvas and to sort of bring back that creativity that we can lose, and to see the imperfections and to be okay with the imperfections. Not every picture is going to be amazing. You know, really, in the time I've been painting, not every painting is great. So I just want everyone to feel happy and feel comfortable, and to be creative. I think it's healthy, and I think it's really good, good for mental wellness. And I guess I just want to say thank you for being here. We have ongoing art demos. They continue tomorrow, 3:30. I believe Holly is going to be leading our art demo tomorrow, so tune in for that. And then we have another art demo on Friday as well. I'm not sure what's going on Friday, but we do have a bulletin. If you look on our Facebook page, there's a bulletin that lists the different art demos that happened every day. So have a look at Studio Central's Facebook, and if your well of creativity is running low, just keep going back to that canvas, keep going back to that paper and drawing, and just be creative with what you have. And yeah, that's where we're at. So thank you so much, and have an awesome day, everyone. Bye.